Yes. Hey everyone, how are y'all doing? Hey, welcome to strIQ Live, where we are doing the strIQ 2.5 Investor Showcase, showing you guys all the amazing new features we've got rolling out for STR investors like you guys. So I am Matt Sanderson. I'm the founder and CEO of strIQ, and I'm here with my boy Preston Pope, who is the brains behind strIQ, who is building all this amazing tech, data, AI for you guys to make smarter and faster decisions. Preston,
hey,
glad to have you here, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
So guys, hey, we're going to be diving into this today. I'll be showing, some things, but we're going to really let Preston take over because again, he's been, getting his hands dirty, really building this stuff to showcase this to you guys. And we're super excited. As you can see on the slides here, you asked, and so we built it. So what we've been doing is, in these communities that we have in our free strIQ squad and our members only community, we're gathering feedback from y'all of what are your biggest problems, what are the things that you like, what are the things that you don't like. We're listening to you of what are these problems you're trying to solve and how can we make them better, leveraging tech and AI. And so we are rapidly iterating, building, and doing some amazing things. And so excited to show y'all 2.5 today. And so Preston,
That's right.
You ready to take it away?
That's right. Yeah, we love our community. I mean, the feedback that y'all have given us is what's guided a lot of this. So really pumped to show y'all kind of what we've done. And the best part is we're kind of just scratching the surface. There's so much more that we can do. So please keep the feedback coming. Any bugs or issues, now you got a face to blame when something's broken.
It's Preston's fault if it doesn't work.
That's right. All right, guys. So let's take a look here. So this is the first thing you'll notice right off the bat. If you are used to our initial version of the app, as previously we had the comps dashboard completely separated from the finding application that we had before. That is now all consolidated into a single unified application. Your location, so right here now we're in Broken Bow, stays consistent between the find mode and the validate mode. We just give you a little bit of dark versus light on the color gradients. You know quickly at a reference which mode you're in. The validate is what we've branded, what was previously the comps dashboard. So previously comps dashboard, you go, for those of you who may be new, the comps dashboard is looking at the actual short-term rental listings in the area. And so this is all of the short-term rental listings in the area, Fairbio, Airbnb, TripAdvisor, Booking.com, all brought into a unified platform and consolidated so that you can see and really get a good sense for the market. There's a lot of ways you can use this. One of the ways I like to use it, especially if I'm new to a market, like for example, I've never invested in Broken Bow, but I live decently close to there. I would love to, potentially buy something there. So I'd like to understand what this market is, how it's doing, what the trends are, what amenities work best. And so that's really where I would go and utilize this validate mode. So we'll dive into that first, and then we'll show you some details on actually validating, once you find a property, validating the details with it. So different kind of use cases for this, but it's a really powerful tool. We kind of take the approach of, hey, we're going to give you all the bells and whistles, give you all the slicers or filters and things that you can get the most out of it. We provide the data and the tech for you to make those best and most informed decisions as you're taking this new exciting next step. So with that said, I'll kind of give a bit of a layout here of what we're seeing. So obviously got a map here. You can switch to satellite mode here. Switch that back and forth. That's new to the comps dashboard. You've got this little button right here. We can just click to snap to your location. I'm not going to do that right now. But you can go to full screen right here, zoom in, zoom out, all with the controls here. We have 3 different modes. We'll demo this in a second of the validate, where you have the map, the table view of all the listings, or the amenities analysis. We'll get into that in a second for those of you who haven't seen that in the prior version.
Hey, Preston, real quick before we keep going on, just so everyone knows, we're going to be demoing this and giving you all some feedback of what's been built recently over the next 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. But we will have about 15 minutes of Q&A at the end where you can tell us to evaluate any market you want to look at and any property you want to evaluate and see the revenue potential of that live today. If you want to start adding in the chat some markets or properties you'll want to take a look at, or any other questions you have on the tech or feedback that you think we need to build in the future. We're doing a big $1 million raise currently. And so all of that capital we're building we'll be going into the growth of the company and the product. And so there's going to be some really cool things we're doing. So drop those comments below, and we'll get to that in about 15 or 20 minutes. So Preston, keep going, man.
If you'd like to be a part of that raise and get in on the action, also drop a comment there, and we'll reach out to you with the
Get a little skin in the game, baby.
That's right. All right, so that's kind of the layout of it. You've got your stats here. You can kind of look at the ADR, reference, occupancy, revenue. You can actually see this kind of just on a more simplified view if you want to do that there. You can copy a link that'll link to this exact location. So if you got someone else who has a strIQ account, you can actually copy this link and it'll say, hey, check out this market. This is awesome. And it preserves the filters and the location and the mode that you have on, so they can be looking at the exact same thing that you were looking at. So a really helpful way to collaborate with partners. And then you got the listings. So you can kind of browse all the different listings, click into those, see the full details of what they have there. One thing y'all have asked about in the past is, hey, seasonality and trends. And so you can actually see the trends of the ADR, occupancy, revenue right here for every single listing, analyzed and brought down to a monthly level aggregate. All the rest of the details here, you can click out and view the actual links for the Airbnb or VRBO, depending on what the listing is listed on. All from these links, there's a quick link right there for you as well. So that's kind of the high level overview of the layout of what we're looking at here. Now let's actually utilize it. So the first thing I'm usually going to do if I'm coming here is I'm going to come and do some filters. So we have some default filters on. I'll should hover over that for a sec. By default, we keep on the filter of, at least 15 reviews. We want to get rid of those new ones that just popped up on the market. They're going to kind of skew the numbers. At least a 4 to 5 on the ratings. We want to get rid of kind of the lower ones. At least 275 days on the market. And I want to get rid of the ones that are, that we haven't synced or pulled data from or seen in our processes, and at least the last 6 months. And the reason why, this is, again, some feedback that we got from y'all, is previously, we'd be pulling in listings and they might be old listings that might already be off the market, or they've relisted as a new listing. And so this allows for filtering those out, which again, just helps curate and clean the data so you have more confidence in knowing you're looking at the exact best comp set to really make an informed decision. So with these filters here, I'll show you kind of the rest of them we've got. We got home style. So kind of, hey, I want to look at, the different home style listings, entire place, hotel room, shared room. Your standard bedroom, bathroom, guest count. Host filters is some of what we looked at here. And then amenities filters. This is a really exciting and cool one. So say let's do has hot tub. You could also say, hey, show me ones that don't have a hot tub. And if you want to get really fancy with it, you could start to combine these and say, hey, show me all the ones that have a pool but don't have a hot tub, or vice versa. And so, you can get really granular with this. The more filters you get on, obviously it's going to cut out more properties. If we can help you find, niches in markets that may be prime for investment, whereas, maybe the market as a whole is saturated, but markets with a pool are undersaturated. And so you can really use that amenities filters to hone in on understand the market there. I'm going to take those out for now. And then one thing that's really, really cool as a part of the comps dashboard is the ability to filter by performance. So say I want to show me the top 100 by revenue. This is really helpful if you're coming into a market, fresh. I don't know where to invest in Broken Bow. Let's see if there's location-based trends that we can see. And so let's show me this to the top 100. So let's apply that. And you can say immediately, it's getting rid of the ones that are over here. I can kind of see, looks like somewhere near kind of downtown. I can start to get a sense for what's going on there. I can hover over these. You can see here on our little slider, not slider, but this little revenue bar over here. You can see, hey, there's little pockets like this one. It's like a little bit lower. These are kind of trending towards the lower portion of that region. Maybe over here, we're getting some that are hopping up a little higher. But anyways, with that, you can kind of filter down and narrow in. The beauty of this, though, is there's a lot of filters. There's a lot of different kind of ways you can slice and dice the data, but we have AI built in, so you can naturally just say, hey, show me 4-bedroom properties with a pool in Broken Bow that are making at least $200 in ADR a night. So literally just by typing that in or dictating that in, you can have the AI go off and immediately apply those filters. So it makes it super, super helpful for analyzing what you're looking at here.
Hey, and something that was pretty cool on that, just like you guys working with Alexa or Siri, like, I've got to be careful. Siri might even hear me as I'm doing this, but like, hey, Alexa, play blah, 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 it's this natural language model. Well, I mean, essentially you're going to be able to say, hey, strIQ, show me the top 100 properties by revenue in Broken Bow or Phoenix or whatever market you're in. And then same thing, we'll show you in a little bit on the find filter or the feature. Hey, strIQ, show me the top properties that are making over 10% cash on cash return under $1 million that have a pool and a view. And so that's where things are going with AI and that we've already built, and we'll just keep getting better and better. And so guys, we're only at the tip of the iceberg of something that is going to be awesome for y'all. So Preston, yeah, keep going, man.
Yeah. So the next thing I'm going to do, I want to kind of narrow down. So I took off my top 100 filter. I'm now just looking at 3 bedrooms and above. And so I'm saying, hey, I want to show me all the 3 bedrooms and above within the area. Let's do 3. Let's do 10. So 3 to 10 bedrooms. And I want to start to kind of get a sense for the different areas. So I'm going to switch to our radius mode here and say, let's call it a 1 mile radius. And now I can see that little pin. I can drag this around. So in this little area, this little pocket, I might even do shorter than that. Let's do a 1/2 mile radius. So in this little pocket right here, I can see, drag that over there. I can see, we're seeing about 75 on the median. Now, if we're over here, maybe Stevens Gap, let's see what that looks like. Let's widen this out. 1/2 mile is a little too small. In a mile radius, about 75 over there. If we drag that over here, okay, going lower, but we got a lot more there. We got 409 comps in that area, but the median's a little lower. We can come down this area. And so super helpful for like being able to analyze little pockets of the market. You can also turn on that satellite mode and kind of get a better sense for kind of, hey, what's going on with this region? Okay, that makes sense. That was a lot more of a neighborhood over here. Over here, it's a lot more, looks like farmland, kind of just wide open spaces. And so really interesting to kind of be able to slice and dice this that way. The last thing I'll show you in terms of the modes, because this is new, is the draw functionality. This is really helpful in markets that are location sensitive in terms of their performance. So let's say I only want to do ones that are, zoom out maybe a little bit, start clicking on the map. Let's just do, and again, I don't know Broken Bow, so some of y'all might be like, there's nothing on the lake, but we're going to do
closer to the lake, probably better.
And then hit finish. And so now it's going to filter down and only show me the properties within that region of the area. And so I'm actually going to even take out maybe this one because I want to see what all is there within that area. And so that draw functionality really, really helps you. We'll give it a sec, but really, really helps you kind of be able to.
It's needing to load up a little bit. Too much data.
Analyze specific areas within that. So, well, we'll come back to that one. We can test that in a little bit. But the other thing, Matt, should we talk about the amenities?
Yeah, let's do the amenities. So what I want to do, maybe refresh your screen real quick while we're doing that. So I'll give you all a quick story of how we're currently using this with some other investors we're talking to. And so, let me know when it loads back up, Preston. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to a guy the other day, and he was like, hey, I'm an investor in Orlando. And what he discovered there was that 6 to 7 plus bedrooms in Orlando were crushing it. And this is before it got extremely saturated. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of new developers came in and started doing these mega properties. Well, he wanted to take the same framework he learned there and apply to new markets like Scottsdale or Sedona or California, these different areas, Dripping Springs, to where he could use this comps dashboard, go into that market. And what we did is we said, show me the top properties by, 100 properties by revenue, get a trend for it, see how many properties are actually 6, 7 bedrooms plus or more, and know where the hot pockets are so that he could actually go develop or go buy in those markets and know exactly how to crush it and what the key amenities are that are doing it. So Preston, is yours ready to roll, or you need me to pull up mine?
Yeah, if you want to pull up your amenities.
Okay, cool. Let me pull this up so I can show you guys. So I'm going to pull up, let me go back to Broken Bow real quick. And that way we can see this. Okay, cool. So in Broken Bow, here we go. Can you see that, Preston?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so what we did is, again, we did the top 100 by revenue for that particular market. And then we went to this amenities tab and we said, okay, what are the amenities that are driving the highest ROI for this particular market? And look at this. So you can see here a pool, only 14% of those actual listings have a pool, and it could drive maybe a 19% revenue uplift or somewhere around 40 grand per year for those particular properties that we're showing. So this is really cool. And this is, again, only the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to do, because these are the key like checkbox features that are in like Airbnb, VRBO, all that stuff. But eventually AI is going to be able to scan these pictures, which will make this amenity list even more robust so that you could see, oh, this one has a, pickleball court, putting green or whatever it may be. And this is the type of amenity uplift you could expect from that. So that is coming soon, probably in 3.0, where that's going to be happening. But the table view is something that I really, really like, because basically you can just go from highest to lowest revenue. And for any market, just say, okay, what are the top properties doing? And just literally copy them or do better. And so you can just go from top to bottom and see, okay, what is it that about these properties that are just crushing it? What experiences are they providing? What are the key amenities? Like this one is interesting. They put a container pool in, which is way cheaper than doing, a normal swimming pool, but they knew to get to the top of the market, they needed a pool. So it's just an easier way to just quickly see. The other thing I like to see is a trend of, okay, out of these top 100 comps, is there a certain bedroom count that is driving most of that? And, oftentimes it's the biggest properties that are driving the most revenue, but sometimes you'll be surprised, like here's a 3-bedroom that's doing really well, or a 4-bedroom. But, holistically, it's the larger properties in this market that are really doing the most. And then I also like to see like, hey, what is the guest count that people are usually doing now? Airbnb limits that to 16. But what this is telling me is, again, the larger properties, the more guest count you can get in there, probably is associated with higher revenue, with maybe a couple of outliers. And so those are, I mean, again, it's kind of common sense too, of like usually larger properties drive more revenue, but you could do the same thing if I were to go apply this with like, for properties between 4 and 6 bedrooms, what is it about those properties that are crushing it? And you can see all the details there, and then even go see those properties. So this is really cool. And then the other thing I will mention, y'all been saying, hey, it would be great to be able to like select and choose my comps. So we've been able to add this check mark feature so you can actually go select or deselect and remove or add comps, which will then update your revenue trends up here, which is a massive feature that we now have. So Preston, did I miss anything else you want to go over on this?
No, I think that covers it. The last thing I want to throw out on the validate here is we would love your feedback in other ways to slice and dice this data that would be helpful to you. Just to throw a couple ideas out. That section right there that Matt's on right there, where it shows the card view. One idea would be to have maybe a chart view there. That's an optional toggle that you could switch to a chart view and show it maybe by bedroom count, or by property type, or by a listing provider. And so we can see those trends. And so just to get your brain churning on different ideas of ways that you would want to slice the data to help answer different questions about the market. So be thinking about that, and then drop those thoughts and feedback in our school community, and we'll work on incorporating those feedback into the next iterations of the app.
Perfect. So one thing, so now here's something else I want to show you guys, and then we'll get into a little bit more of the AI features. So this is a property I bought in Fredericksburg, Texas, Live Oak, Fredericksburg, Texas. And we'll let that load up as we're going there. Okay, so it's pulling up. So I'm going to show you how I actually use the tech to really help me buy a $1.5 million deal and know exactly how to crush it in that market. So I'm going to take you through exact example that I've done. And this is something we can do with you guys to evaluate. So to evaluate your properties, because we just showed you analyzing markets. Now we're going to show you analyzing a specific property. And then Preston, we'll collaborate on this. And then in the Q&A, we'll do this for some other people as well. So I just typed in my address. It pulled up the radius around this area. So now I'm going to do the radius feature. Well, first of all, I'm going to take out my, clear my filters so everything pops up. And then once that loads up, I'm going to do a radius feature around it. Okay. And I'm going to do a 10-mile radius around this property because, I mean, I could do 5 miles, whatever, but just depends on the market you're in, is where you'll want to really adjust that radius feature. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in my filters and I'm going to say, this is a 7-bedroom property. So I'm going to do 7 bedrooms, and I'm going to go ahead and add these filters in for that needs to be at least 4 stars on the market for 275 days or longer as an active Airbnb listing, and then more than 15 reviews. And you could either toggle between 6 months or 12 months syncing. Maybe we do the last 6 months in this case and apply. Okay, look at this. So what this tells me is my 6-acre, 7-bedroom property that I have, there's only 6 comps in a 10-mile radius. And so what's really cool about that is it's good and bad. Bad news is there's not that many comps, so there's limited data. Good news is there's not that many comps, so there's not that much competition, right? So what I would do next, and here's what I really want to communicate to y'all so y'all can do this as well, is here's the practical next steps I would take if I were in your shoes, and exactly what I did. So I saw immediately that this property on average, based on these 6 comps, could be making about 155 grand. Now, if it's one of the better properties and I get it to that top 25% through professional design, amenities, experiences, maybe could be making like 200 grand. But if I'm one of the best, maybe like 250 or higher, because some of these properties are making like 290 as like a wedding venue. They can do some cool stuff. So this property, I found it, or my wife found it. She's a good deal finder. I analyzed it using strIQ, and I realized they are only making like 105,000 in revenue, which was like right here. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is a huge opportunity, because yeah, if I were to buy it and expect the revenue that they're doing right now, it's probably making right in here, when really by just doing some basic stuff, I could get it up here, or maybe even up in this range, right? And so I was like, okay, well, there's limited comps. So let's just see what happens if I were to go convert a few rooms to additional sleeping rooms, this barn dominium that's out there, and spend some capital to really spruce this thing up. And so I said, okay, well, let's go down to like 6 bedrooms to maybe 8 bedrooms and see what happens. Okay, now there's 22 comps in that case. And it supports the data that I saw of like, okay, well, at the very least, it could be making that, but maybe I could get up to this like $200,000 to $300,000 range if we do this thing. And here's all the comps that, to give me the insight. So I said, okay, well, let's go to the amenities. What are the amenities here? Okay, pets allowed, hot tub. Okay. Pool, ironically, is not a massive one in that, but, it's something that in the Texas Hill Country, probably something you should have.
One thing to note on those stats there, we get a question we get a lot is like, hey, does this mean it's going to make less if I have a pool? No, not necessarily. It's literally just statistics. It's just saying to take a grouping of properties with it and a grouping of properties without it and average it. And so, it's a function of what filters you have applied. Are you looking at a wide range? Are the ones with a pool the smaller ones versus the ones without a pool, some of the bigger ones? So it can vary. So take this with a grain of salt. It's a very useful tool to quickly slice and look at just what do the numbers say. But it doesn't. I wouldn't necessarily take it as hey, that means it's going to perform less. But it does help get a sense for what the market looks like.
But what's interesting about this, like Preston said, you can see what is the percentage of the actual listings that actually have that pool or say they have that pool. And only 4% of the actual listings have it. So even though it's showing not a huge revenue uplift, I'm also seeing, man, not that many people have that. So it could be something that could be a needle mover, which the data just doesn't really show it here. Some markets, it's very clear, like a pool could drive like an extra 50 to 100 grand. But in this case, it is an opportunity if we wanted to add a pool later. But
usually what that means is there's other factors that are overwhelming that make it, like location. Like the location overwhelms it, or it's this one's a wedding venue. Like in this one, 22, fairly small, honestly, comp set. The wedding venue is probably dominating.
The larger acreage tracks or the location to Main Street. Exactly.
But just things like that to be keeping in mind as you're analyzing the numbers.
Yeah, but one key metric that a lot of people don't think about is like pets allowed. So it is clear here that, hey, pets allowed, allowing a couple dogs or whatever, go to this huge ranch in Fredericksburg is probably a good idea, because people probably want to go have a good time and bring their dog and let them go run around. So
$180 a night is gonna well offset a little extra cleaning.
exactly. So to me, we definitely made it pets allowed to do that. We definitely had a hot tub. We are thinking about a pool, but instead of the pool, we decided to do a conversion of the barn to do a speakeasy, karaoke, game room, get ready room for the girls, place for the guys to hang out, get ready, and have like an event space on the bottom. And we think that will drive a ton of revenue. We did a pickleball court, and we also did a putting green out there. And there's 4 to 6 acres where we could build more stuff. So the point of all this is there's not that many 6 to 8 bedroom properties in this radius of Fredericksburg. So it's already easier to compete with people because there's not that many people to compete with. And then now what we can do is do professional design, amenities, and experiences. And it's all about amenity stacking. So everybody kind of has like the common things. So it's like, how can I look through all these, all through my competition, go view their listings and make sure I'm doing what they're doing, but then all this stuff way better than them, like potentially a sauna one day. The pickleball court is a major driver, maybe a walking trail for people to go walk around and have morning walks with coffee. There's, all sorts of fun things you could do, but now you've got the key insights from your competition.
And if you're sitting there thinking, man, that's a lot of work to do all that stuff. How do I go about doing that? How do I know what to do versus what not to do? Just a quick call out for our amazing trusted experts that we have in the application, where you can actually find the actual trusted experts to help you design it and build it and run it and manage it and all of this. So really, really great resource there with that experts page, where you can analyze all the trusted experts in all the different markets to help you find get the help that you need.
Totally agree. Yeah, I'm so glad you said that because, we are basically, when you're doing an Airbnb, you're basically running a business, and it's either do it on your own or you do it with people. And I prefer to do it with people because it's less overwhelming and easier that way. And so, yeah, in the trusted expert section that that is something new we need to tell people about. You're going to have tons of agents, lenders, designers, designers like All New, Summer-Led, Funkit, Backyard Social, Chroma Home Designs, like all these groups out there that are amazing. Even texting with Steven Stewart right now. What's up, man? A little shout out. Backyard Social, man, they do some crazy backyard stuff if you want someone to transform it. I will say, in the data, like when you see some of these pictures, especially we go analyze some of these other markets, backyards, like interior needs to look good, but backyards really transform properties to drive a lot of revenue. So shout out to Steven if you want to go talk to him about transforming your backyard. Cool. So Preston,
now take over screen share and we'll take a look at Find real quick. Yeah.
Okay. Is yours working again?
Yep, we're good.
Cool.
All right. So one thing that Matt was mentioning, so as you're analyzing it, a lot of the times you realize, hey, I'm not going to do the median. I'm going to be shooting for that P75 or the P90, which we've renamed to top 25 and top 20, top 10, just to make it a little easier to understand. One thing we were struggling with, that we got feedback from y'all, is that previously on the app, when you were analyzing these revenue numbers, it would just default to that median. What we've provided now is you can actually come and change what your case is. And so say, hey, you can stick with that P50 median case, or say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna shoot for that top 25 or maybe even that top 10, knowing that I'm gonna be investing heavily in the furnishings. We've actually adjusted automatically and I'll show you this here in one sec, with the furnishing cost based on which tier you've selected. So if we go back here and look at, let's do like this one, for example. I can go to our analyze. I don't know, I'm hopping through this quickly, but I want to show you one specific thing. So based on your target revenue tier that you're choosing, your furnishing cost will adjust natively. So if we go to the upside, those furnishing costs bump up, by an extra 50K or so. And this is based on analyses that we've ran across all the different markets to help understand, hey, what's the relative uptick that is required in order to get from a median to a target to an upscale, different tier on your revenue. So that's natively baked in. So as you're thinking through, hey, I want to analyze it, but how is it affecting my CapEx? It is automatically baked into the CapEx when it's analyzing. And so you can safely look at, cash on cash on this map here and know that that 13.6 cash on cash has accounted for both the revenue uptick and the CapEx uptick that's required to get there.
Yeah, that honestly, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was something we struggled with in the very beginning, starting strIQ, is like we could get the revenue projections to underwrite and do all this, but as we know, in order to get to that top 25% or top 10%, it usually takes capital to get there. And so the cash on cash return numbers were slightly off when we started this a couple of years ago, because we just didn't have really AI at the time to really drive that. And so now AI is scanning pictures, all these pictures of these active MLSs, and forecasting capital for every single revenue tier that you're looking at automatically and instantaneously. So that, I mean, that is a crazy powerful feature. And I guess what we can do now to wrap up so we can get into Q&A is, if the tech works on your side, Preston, is maybe show some examples of leveraging the AI feature in the search bar to find profitable properties based on some criteria you're looking at.
Absolutely.
And I can do it on my end too if I need to pull the tech up.
Yeah, so one example that I did earlier was, hey, just show me properties making 10% cash on cash or higher in Sedona. I think I said maybe 3 or 5 bedroom higher. So I can just click on that to go back to a previous search. You can see it's automatically applied that. All I had to do was type that in or dictate it, and it automatically came in and applied the 3 to 5 bedrooms. Oh, I had said with the pool too. So I said, show me properties that'll make 10% cash on cash in Sedona with the pool, 3 to 5 bedrooms. And it automatically applied those filters for me, took me to Sedona, and I can quickly snap in and interact with all these. I can zoom out, to the map bounds and the radius and start to interact with these different properties that are there within that region. And so that's a really, really powerful way to kind of interact with the properties, interact with the search filters without having to kind of manually type them in. You can still always come here and kind of interact with that. Change your default case like we talked about. I'm showing the top 10% here, or top 25. You can change that yourself. And then we've added a whole suite of additional filters where you can filter down by, hey, show me the revenue to price ratio, show me the estimated annual revenue. The price range are all still there. Amenities filters are right here where you can start to filter on those as well.
Hey, the amenities feature, go back to that real quick. So just an example, my wife and I were looking at some properties the other day, and I just hadn't really used the amenities features that much, because sometimes people will, like, there's 300 plus MLSs across the country. And so sometimes brokers will fill that out in the MLSs, sometimes they won't. And so I was like, my wife and I were looking at some deals, and she's like, hey, why don't you apply some of those? And I was like, okay, let's do it. And she's like, hey, let's go look up in like the Catskills of New York, or maybe like the Finger Lakes. And she said, hey, let's find properties underneath like $600,000 that, are a 10% cash on cash return, but have views of a lake or a river or mountain views, or just any sort of views that are really cool. And we typed it in, and we instantly found like 5 properties that were pretty awesome. I think I even did one on a Find It Friday a couple of weeks ago, but that's how I did it. We used the AI to then set the filters, and then we went into that area, and instantly we're revealed a few properties that were like, whoa, these are really cool. So that's a cool feature of it. Preston, anything else before we go to Q&A?
No, I think if you want to share your screen, we can walk through a couple different examples if anyone has any.
Sweet. Okay, so we
in general, just on the tech. Yeah.
So yeah, we've got a bunch of people putting in comments here. So let's read through some of these. And again, just a reminder, we're going to spend about 15 minutes going through any markets you want to look at, any example addresses of properties you want to look at. Oh, balloons are going off. Cool. Or just any general questions y'all have about the tech or feedback for us. And so if you give an address of a property y'all want to evaluate, make sure you also do the bedroom count too, so we can take a look at that. But we will start going through some questions from top to bottom. We've got Trev. Let's go. Happy Friday. Trev, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. Let's see here. Let's do, David is saying, let's look at 484 Ruts Pine Loop in Broken Bow. Let's go take a look at that. So 484. And yeah, Preston, have it up on your end too, so you could be maybe looking at.
I will pull up the next one, the Cooper's Hawk.
Broken Bow. Okay. So it's taking me to the area. what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a radius feature around there. Oh, that didn't take me a broken bow. 1 second. Broken bow. 1 sec. Which one are you doing, Preston?
I'm doing the next one, the severe bow.
Okay. Well, maybe do that real fast.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll share my screen 1 sec once I get it up.
Yeah, I think it didn't pull up on your end. Okay, so 1 second. We've got someone else asking about a property they want to look at. Sorry, we'll let the tech load. I think it's because we're doing multiple loadings at the time. Let's see here. Which one do you have, Preston?
I'm working on the Sevierville one.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on with my screen share.
And then I'll answer some questions in the meantime while we're doing that. Okay, so someone is saying, are the only amenities picked from what we see now, pets, hot tub, TV, fireplace, pool, washer, maybe future versions add more amenities like sauna, workout room? Okay, so Damon, yeah. So right now the main amenities we have, let me go back to this view here. The main amenities we have are like the main ones you would typically see with Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com that you would actually check mark in the actual listing. And so in the future, we're going to have AI scanning these pictures of the listing so we can pull in more unique amenities like pickleball courts, saunas. We do have gym as a feature, which sometimes that will show up in some markets, sometimes not. Like the Fredericksburg example, a gym did not show up because honestly, most people don't have that. So it just didn't even show up because of that. So that's a unique thing that you can actually go study a lot of these other markets like Sevierville, Scottsdale, like these hot markets, learn what these key amenities are, like a gym or some of these, sauna, whatever else. And then you could take that to whatever market you're investing in and apply a lot of that learning there. So just a heads up on another way you could do it.
And Matt, I've got Sevierville one up if we want to share my screen. There we go. Okay, so I put in that address, hop straight there on the comps dashboard. And then I saw it's a 5-bedroom. So the thing I'm going to do first is come down and say, well, actually, I'm probably going to switch to table view because it's a fairly small area. I'll probably zoom out a little bit and then look to the table view, try and get a sense for what we have here on bedrooms. So a lot of these, so some that are 7, some that are 4. So maybe I'm going to do 4 and above on kind of my filters here. So come apply that there. We do already have the default filters there of the, let's say 10, just to make sure it gets that. The default filters of the hosts, so we can keep that on there, or we can expand that out and make it a little more relaxed if we need to. So now it's got its filter down here. So now the first thing I'm seeing is the median. There's the 139. I actually like being able to see this range here. I can tell that this is a decently wide spread. So you can see you're getting all the way from basically a little over $110,000 range between the top 10 and the bottom 10 of this market here. So that's helpful to kind of see and analyze as you're looking at that. The next thing I'd be looking at is probably the amenities to see, hey, what's going to take to kind of get to that higher range of amenities. So I come over here. I usually like to filter this, and this is something I'll change to default filter it by this, but nothing huge in terms of kind of revenue trends. A lot of these ones here, it seems like all kind of have some of the pools and the saunas and stuff like that. I can actually filter this off here, show in all the kind of the more holistic list of ones that are showing up there. And then if we go back to our map view, the next thing I'd be looking at is trying to understand kind of the region, kind of zoom out a little bit more, maybe kind of widen out our radius here to kind of get a better sense for what's going on in a wider picture. Matt, what would be some of the next things you'd be looking at here?
Well, I was pulling up another address to look at too while we're doing that. So the big thing I would say on this one, how many bedrooms did you put in for that one?
It was 5, so we did 4 to 10. So
4 to 10. So I usually do 4 to 6 bedrooms on that. So go to 4 to 6.
Yep.
And then I would do a 3-mile radius around it, or a 5-mile radius.
5 mile, okay.
And then I would drop a pin, do like a 2 to 5 mile radius around that.
Yeah. All right. So we got a 5 mile radius there.
Yep, and that's Sevierville. Cool.
2 mile radius. Yeah.
And it's you said there's a 5 bedroom.
5 bedroom. Yeah.
Yeah. So scroll or zoom in on that median right there on the top right.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm seeing here is there's 137 listings that fit that criteria between 4 and 6 bedrooms. You could narrow in directly on 5 bedrooms. Let's go and do that since there's already so
we
many
have
comps.
plenty there. Yeah.
Yeah, just do 5 bedrooms exactly. And then, so now there's 36 matches within a 2-mile radius, but you could do 2 miles or 5. And so what this tells me is for this 5 bedroom, on average, if you were to just go put furniture in it, you can make like 127 grand. But if you have professional design amenities, you could get up to like 158. Or if you're one of the best, you could make over 200 grand. But usually the ones that are doing extremely well, if you start scrolling through those pictures down there, Preston, I mean, there's golf simulators, there's indoor pools. That's where all the crazy stuff starts to happen. So you can go study those. And then what I would do is maybe don't do that yet, Preston. Go to the amenities tab on that one. And then look at that gym. So there's only 1% of listings that have a gym. So, I don't know who asked about this question, but my number one question I would ask is, do you have a gym in that property, or could you find a way to put a gym out there, or even put a yoga mat with some weights or something, because you may not be able to drive 160 grand, but you might could capture some of that. So that's a huge revenue uptick opportunity. And then I would go to the table view.
First question is actually, I want to find out who is it that has a gym in this one?
Oh yeah, and see who actually does.
Okay, look at that. There you go.
Yeah, there's only 2 matching comps.
Golf simulator 2, theater room, hot tub gym.
Yeah. So check that out. In a 5-mile radius for 5-bedroom properties, you only have 2 competitors out of like 90 to 130 competitors. Balloons are going off again. That actually have a gym or a golf simulator. Look at that. So, I mean, those are really cool insights that if you've got the room or the space for it, that's where you can really get that revenue uptick.
Yep. No, that's huge. So then, the next thing we could do is if we wanted to see, aside from gym, so let's take out the gym filter. And let's say, I just want to see the top 20 in this market. What's going on top 20 by revenue. Try and get a sense for one, locationally where they're at. So we got a little cluster over here in the little cove. Then some they're just a little more spaced out. Obviously, our top simulator one, or our simulator ones that were there, were already there. But
nice.
I mean, just looking at these, you can kind of get a sense. Hop into the pictures there and get a sense for what's going on with these.
Yeah.
One feature I'm just thinking of right now, it'd be great if we can just tab right here to go to the next one, so you can kind of flip through these a little easier than going back in and out. It's things like this, guys. Just throw out ideas. You can go off and build them.
By the way, I was realizing the last one I was trying to analyze in Broken Bow with David, the 484 Ruts Pine, I don't see a bedroom count in that. So David, if you don't mind adding the bedroom count to that in the comments, and we'll go back to that one here in a second. But I've got another property I can pull up and analyze for someone that just asked about it. So this one is, let's see here. I think it's Asta is saying the 660 Burnt Mill Road, Lake Arrowhead, California. Is that Big Bear? What's it called? That region? You know what I'm talking about, Preston?
Oh, no, I don't. Sorry.
It's like, well, it's this lake that's real popular in the California region. So anyway, they said it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. So okay, this is what I did on this property. So let's go analyze this. I put in 4 bedrooms exactly. I usually like to start there, and then you can go down to 3 to 5 if you want to get a bigger range, or you can expand the radius. And I have all the other filters added, the 15 reviews, 4 stars, and 275 with syncing over the last 6 months. I like to start there and see what the data shows. So for this property that you have, the 660 Burnt Mill Road, on average, I'm seeing if you just put furniture in it, you're probably here. If you do professional design amenities experiences, you're probably up in this top 25%. Or you could possibly get up to this top 10%, but that usually means really great experiences and views or distance to the water in this case. And so let's just go through the amenities. Okay, a gym, again, only 1% of the listings have a gym. So my question for you would be, could you add a gym somewhere? A hot tub is a big one. You probably already have that, but just make sure that you have that as a key amenity. And then the other thing, now I would just go study the top to bottom. Again, I don't know if this property is close to the lake or not, or if it has views, but I would start to look for comps that are similar to you and just see if there's interesting things you can do like this, a movie theater. See if there's any other unique views or things here. Again, just good design. It seems like that's a necessity. You just have to have that stacked with the other amenities that we talked about. So anyway, that's what I would say I see for that particular market.
Matt, one thing that might be helpful with some of our time, I'm going to browse through some of these questions. So we got Damon asking here, can we manually move the beginning and end of that revenue bar? I think he's talking about the revenue bar underneath the stats there, Matt. So answering that, so that is fixed. It's based on, the bottom is the minimum, the top is the max, and then it's showing, I'm sorry, it's the 10% and the top 10% is what the ends of that bounds are. And then it's showing that middle one there is the low 25, and then it's showing the top 25. So it's giving you kind of a visual way to analyze that. I personally use this one as I'm scrolling over properties. I like being able to see where does that fit relative to the range in that market. So Matt, if you hover over some properties on the map just to show that, you can see it, it shows where the property I'm hovering over is. So it's really helpful just to kind of visually see where does it sit relative to the rest of the market. And also that gray area, the smaller that is, the tighter the revenue band is within that market, or for whatever filters you filter to. This is kind of an indication of how much wiggle room is there in the revenue potential for the particular comp set that you're looking at. So that's kind of just a rough way of utilizing that gray bar in the middle there, because it's just indicating the difference between the top 25 and the bottom 25% in that market.
Cool.
Next question there about AirDNA and VRBO. Yes, it pulls from both of those, as well as TripAdvisor.
Airbnb,
sorry. Yeah.
We don't want to say the other name. Come on, man.
Well, that's the problem with those names. They're all the same.
They're all so similar.
Okay. strIQ, very different, very definitive. That's really one of the best features is the name. All right. What sources do you use for revenue? So again, yeah, we pull from Airbnb and VRBO and TripAdvisor and Booking.com, as well as some manually loaded data that we pull in and scrape through. So a lot of different places that we bring and source that data in, aggregate it together, clean it up, and make it most useful for you. Yep, call out for professional exterior design with Backyard Social. Elevating a property would be nice to add an amenity would cost. Yes. So some of the stuff that Matt was talking about that's coming in version 3.0 is enhancing not only what the revenue uptick looks like for having an amenity there, but also wrapping in the capex that would go into getting to that. So we have a rough approximation of that with what we're doing with the furnishing costs that we showed before, but getting more fine-tuned with that, where you could basically be sitting in your analyzer, going through and analyzing a property and say, hey, I'm thinking about adding a hot tub. Add that in the calculator. It adds the capex for you and adjusts your revenue based on what the trends look like in that market for that amenity. So that's coming in 3.0. Great call out there. So I appreciate the question.
Yeah, I do want to mention, we just rolled out, we had 1.0, we rolled out 2.0 in the spring of this year. We're now at 2.5 of what we're doing with the product. And you can already see how fast things are iterating. I was talking to my wife and someone else the other day, and they're like, you're already doing another rollout? And I'm like, yes. That is how fast we can build with AI and Preston at the wheel here, because we can just build extremely fast. So as you guys are giving us feedback, we're already planning the release of 3.0, probably coming in like January of this next year, with some of the stuff that you're already mentioning right now. And so like another big piece of feedback, we've been getting from people is, hey, what we're seeing on this comps analysis here, or comps dashboard. So I'm trying to get this off the screen here. It would be amazing to be able to get some sort of report of this so that they could then give it to their clients. So say you're a service provider out there, like an agent, designer, lender. that you can then give to your clients. Or if this is someone that's looking to buy and really optimize their properties, being able to get that so that they have the details of it and even give to a capital partner, all that stuff in more of like a reporting feature. So the other thing we've been hearing from people is, hey, we love what you're doing in the find feature when you're going into these properties and like really analyzing and getting to the like the cash on cash return. Hey, they're like, hey, Matt, Preston, it would be great if we could take a lot of these off market deals, understand the revenue potential, and then go through the calculator functionality to still get a return on that investment so that I know, hey, if I spend 50 grand on a golf simulator, putting green, and blah, 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 like it's going to be worth it. So
Yep.
that is coming with 3.0 down the road.
Yep. All the stuff is in the works. It's hopping on this investment round, and we'll speed up that.
Come on in, baby.
That's right.
Cindy said, pretty cool on the
Yeah.
cash on cash technology. Thank you. Excited for that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the previous search. So yes, we do have now the prior searches. You can hop back into that. Really helpful for just keeping you up. Hop back into right where you were studying, as well as being able to share those links, those direct, deep embedded links to with other partners who have a strike account.
Yeah.
For sale properties in the database. Yes. So the MLS properties, we're pulling that from the partnerships that we have with the MLSs. So we don't have every MLS in the country, but we have pretty much most of the ones that you'd be wanting to look at. If you come across one that we don't happen to have, please reach out. We are very very quick to kind of listen to our customers and add then different properties that are needed. I have found a couple cases where it worked. I actually found a bug this morning. And so this is part of the iteration process. I found a bug this morning where I was searching for like adding an amenity on the Find AI and saying, hey, show me ones with pools or with a view or with a hot tub, whatever. And there was a bug. So I will fix that tomorrow morning. So if you find bugs, please just reach out. It's a very quick process to get some of these things, part of I love the fact that we can go this fast, but part of that also means, hey, we're going fast. Sometimes when you go fast, things break. So please reach out and give us feedback if you come across anything. Same thing with that next question there. If you're having issues with the property and you're searching, it's not coming up, please reach out to us directly. We'd be happy to get that resolved for you or hop on a call and help you out there. What's the next one? What is
what is strIQ platform? Preston, tell us what strIQ is while I'm plugging in this address real quick.
So strIQ stands strIQ is the spelling. It took me the longest time to get that right too. So no shame there.
Hey, yeah.
So short-term rental IQ. So the vision is everything you need to know about how to invest in short-term rentals, where to find it, what's the data to bring that in. It's basically taking the painful spreadsheets that we've all created in the past to analyze our deals with Zillow, with the data from the actual existing short-term rental data, which a lot of people pull from AirDNA. Historically, it basically brings the best of all that together, except with better revenue data and better projections and better filtering and better features and functionality to make it really, really streamlined to be able to find a deal literally within seconds. Matt's had countless use cases at this point of helping customers or even personally for himself buying properties that he's found within 5 minutes on the app.
Yeah, and just so y'all know, like Preston said, here's a strike hat. It's founding members get these hats. Shout out to our founding members, whoever's out there. You get one of these hats coming soon. Even shows a little founding member logo on the interior. It's gonna be nice. But anyway, my point of all that is, we started out as short-term rental IQ. That's a long name. So we shortened it to strIQ. That's still a little bit of a mouthful. And so we had some friends say, it kind of looks like strike. Why don't you just call it strike? So anyway, new people that are kind of hearing about us probably call us strIQ because it just looks obvious. But if you're in the know, if you're in the club, you probably will start saying strike. It just comes a little bit naturally to it.
That's right. Next question, the API. Yes, great question. We just rolled out about a month ago a B2B API. You don't have to be a business to use it, but it looks like vacay your way. You might be. We have an API, so just reach out to us. We have API pricing. We can send you the page for that, or we can drop it in the chat here if we're able to do that.
Hey, actually, Leslie or Emily, can y'all, or even Preston, we've got an enterprise link that maybe someone could. I think it's striq.com/enterprise. if someone could drop that in the chat. David has been patiently waiting for his Broken Bow property, and we are going to come back to that because, David, we want to analyze this property for you. So you said 5-bedroom, 4-bath, sleeps 30. Nice. Okay, so we have it here in Broken Bow. What I did is a 5-mile radius around that property. I typed in, let's see here, 5 bedrooms, and let's see what the data shows, and you can tell me how close we are or not. So what we're going to do is we're going to look based on the comps I'm seeing here already. My number one question to you is, do you have a pool? Because it seems clear that the top comps are, have a pool. That also looks like they've got saunas and all sorts of other cool stuff. And so anyway, in the chat, let us know what features you have. But I'm seeing, hey, if you were a 5-bedroom, just threw it on the market and with some furniture, you're probably making about 100 grand. If you have some of these key amenities, maybe like a pool or just some nicer things, you're probably making like 140. If you're one of the best, you're probably up in this like upper 100,000 range, with some of these making, over $200,000 if you do things like this. So let's go analyze the amenities. Let's see the amenity uplift. Yeah, pool. Only 4% of listings actually have a pool here, driving most of the ROI. Pets allowed, about half of them have pets allowed, driving a little bit of ROI. So I'd say, hey, try to do pets allowed and a pool if you can, and then try to stack on some of these amenities. And then, let's see here. Oh, pickleball. I mean, guys, I'm seeing pickleball being an amenity that just is crushing it in a lot of markets. So a little outdoor stargazing dome, playground, all sorts of stuff. Broken Bow is just such a saturated market that you can still crush it there. It's just you usually have to do a lot of really cool things in that market to make sure you separate yourself from the pack. So David, hopefully, he said he does have a pool. So hopefully you've got that pool. Sounds like you do. Now just start to really amenity stack like this and do unique things. And that's how you'll get to that, upper $100,000 revenue range or to 200,000 plus.
And David, to your second question about the revenue, we show the full trend for the revenue, but the revenue number you're showing that we show in the stats is the last 12 months. So last 12 months based on when we pull it, we're usually maybe a month, sometimes at the most 2 months behind, just depending on our syncing schedules of bringing the data in. But it is the revenue number we show, and the revenue number that we use for the economics is always the trailing 12 months revenue. Same thing with ADR and occupancy. That's the average of those over the trailing 12 months.
Yep. Hey, I'm just pulling up the link here. Guys, if y'all are interested in the API that we've built, this is the link to that. It's in the chat. But we do have an API feature with multiple different levels, like a starter one at the very low level if you just want to test it out, all the way up to like enterprise, heavy lifting, if you want to get access to the data and do some other cool stuff on your end with your AI that you have. We've got only like a couple minutes left, and there's so many more questions. One thing I will say, there is someone that's asking about the data and trust in the data. And they're saying, because again, we're selling confidence and we want to make sure you guys are making good, confident decisions. And so let me make a reference point, because a lot of y'all are familiar with AirDNA. There's a number that will show what they think it made versus what they think it could make. And in the same way, strIQ has features and abilities to look at the data like that, to where it's more like trailing, past 12 months versus what we think it could make. And so, Preston, do you want to kind of explain that a little bit more behind the differences between those two numbers of like the trailing 12 months versus like projected?
Yeah, so when we're looking at the revenue data, it helps, and I won't get too technical, but we at the end of the day, we have for every listing in America, and soon to be beyond America, we have for every day, what was it listed for on that day, and then 3 statuses for it. Was it actually booked by a reservation? Was it blocked off on the calendar, or is it still open? And so with those 3 statuses, we can infer and calculate pretty much all the stats and the revenue that you're seeing here. The one that always is a question there is the blocked off but not booked. What are those, and what does that account for? And so that it can be one of 2 things really. It's the owner blocked it off for whatever reason. That could be a maintenance block, that could be owner's personal usage, things like that, or it could be that it was booked by an off-platform booking. And so, for example, if someone just books with you directly, pays by Venmo, whatever it is, or maybe using Hospitable or whatever they use to book off platform, those ones are notoriously difficult to identify, because we obviously, there's thousands and thousands of different custom providers and places where these things can be booked. So taking that blocked night is a really, really helpful way to account for those. And so we can see the real revenue that was shown to be booked based on those reserved nights. But then we can upscale that to, hey, if it was if the owner didn't use it, if there wasn't maintenance that was required, and if there wasn't any of these off-platform bookings that are hard to get, tracking on, what would it have potentially made? And so we call that, historically, we've called the difference between real and effective revenue. And so if you ever see those numbers, that's what that means. Is real is observed, the night was for this much, and then it got reserved, and so we can infer that it was booked. What we don't account for is potentially some discounting that comes into that. We've got plans in 3.0 to even improve and iterate on that, but I'll save that for now. So that's what real would be, and then the effective is just taking that real and upscaling that by accounting for those nights that were blocked off by either owner usage or off-platform bookings.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps. I'm not sure if that's exactly the direction you were asking, Matt, but.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say, because again, that's probably the number one thing most people are asking and thinking through, like AI is finding stuff fast and all this stuff, but like you're about to make a $500,000 decision or a $100,000 decision or $1 million decision on these investments. And the number one thing you're thinking about is like, how do I know that I know that I know that this is going to be worth the money to do this? And like, how do I have the confidence? And so let me just simplify this for everyone, because these are forecasted, projected revenues that are being scraped and pulled into our database that we are aggregating together and running our own analysis on. So these are not real comps, although we will be looking at real comps in the future, which we'll talk about in a second. But the point of all this is based on that understanding, there's a truth that really will surface, and that is truth comes in numbers. And so when you have 117 comps with the bad data taken out through those filters we just showed you, and we've got a sample size of data, and this is a pretty robust set of data with over 100 comps that are 5 bedrooms in this market, right? And it's showing this revenue range from median, top 25%, top 10%. You can have more confidence to trust these numbers. Now, when you get into like the individual comp itself, sometimes the comps are spot on, sometimes they may be off a little bit. But that's what happens when you have sample sets of data. But when you have a bunch of data together, this is why that range, I think, is so important for you guys to remember when you type in an address or a market, that you can have a lot more trust in these percentiles to make more confident decisions. And then you can get into the data and just start really diving into each one of these and start seeing a trend of, oh man, there's a lot of comps that I'm seeing between $145,000 to $200,000 or whatever it may be, to have more confidence in it. Now, when you see one comp way up here, one at the very bottom, like there could be skewed data sometimes, but again, truth comes in numbers. And that is why it's good to like look at the pack and the full revenue potential up here. So
Trev, great question. Yes, cleaning fee is accounted for in our numbers. So it will have the cleaning fee baked in, which will push that up usually. So that's one of the biggest differences there, is this accounting for that. So, and then another question about the metrics and the trailing 12 months. It's based, each listing is going to be different, because each listing, when we pulled that listing is going to be different. So the trailing 12 months is going to be different on those ones. It's going to be basically giving you the best trailing 12 months estimate that we can, and you can actually see on each listing the last time that we pulled some of those. So that's a helpful kind of metric to help give a little more understanding on a listing by listing case, what's going back into that. So
awesome. Well, guys, we are a little over time, so we need to go and wrap up. Melissa, thank you. Hey, y'all are the best too. Love you guys. Thank you for everyone that has joined. Preston, thank you for all your work, man, helping build this technology. I mean, we're on the cutting edge of some amazing things that we're doing. And literally every day it's changing so fast because when we started strIQ, AI wasn't really that big of a thing. And then midway through, AI has now exploded and has really exploded our growth and our journey. So as we raise this capital, this $1 million raise, we're investing back into the capital, listening to you guys of what you want, what you need, and fueling this thing up. So join our free strIQ Squad community. It's free. It's a great community to just help each other out. It's what I wish I had when I first started. Give us feedback of what you like, what you don't like, what you need, and we will keep building and making this a better platform with the mission and goal of making real estate investing more accessible for everyone, including you guys. Thank you all for joining. We will see you next time when we roll out 3.0.
That's right.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Thanks, y'all.